In the vast chamber of the Galactic Coalition's Central Intelligence Division, Analyst June sat hunched over his terminal, brow furrowed in concentration. The blue glow of the holographic display cast shadows across his face as he scrolled through Earth's threat assessment file for the 5th time that day. Something didn't add up. The Coalition's species classification system was meticulous. Every known intelligent civilization categorized based on technological advancement, resource utilization, military capabilities, and expansion potential. The rankings determined everything from trade agreements to defensive postures. Most species moved up or down the scale as they developed, but Earth's designation hadn't changed in 3 centuries. June rubbed his tired eyes. The humans had progressed, from burning fossil fuels to establishing their first Mars colony in that time. Their rate of technological advancement outpaced every other known species by a factor of 3. Yet they remained labeled low-threat, minimal concern. Still obsessing over that backwater planet, June looked up to see Director Kim standing behind him, her tall frame silhouetted against the bustling intelligence floor beyond. Other analysts moved between workstations, their various body shapes, some with multiple limbs, others with none, creating a living tapestry of galactic diversity. "With respect, Director, something's wrong with this assessment," June replied, pointing to his findings. "Look at their weapons development alone. They've split the atom, developed precision targeting systems, and their computer technology doubles in power every few years." "That's unheard of." Director Kim's face remained impassive. "The Voth Council established Earth as low threat centuries ago. Their assessments are never questioned. But regulations require reassessment every 50 years, June persisted. "I can find no evidence of proper review." "The classification stands," Director Kim said firmly. "Return to your assigned duties." As she walked away, June noticed how other analysts quickly averted their eyes, pretending they hadn't been listening. The Voth held significant influence in coalition politics. Their species was among the oldest known spacefaring civilizations, with technology that sometimes seemed almost magical. Their word was rarely questioned. But something about this particular situation bothered June beyond professional curiosity. During his time at the Academy, he'd specialized in evolutionary patterns of developing worlds. Earth was an anomaly by every metric. When the office emptied for the evening meal cycle, June remained at his terminal. He bypassed the standard authorization protocols, a risky move that could cost him his position, and accessed the deep archives. Earth's historical files were massive, containing thousands of observation reports dating back to when humans were still using wooden ships and communicating via primitive radio waves. The earliest assessments noted humanity's unusual aggression and tribal tendencies. "Species demonstrates concerning territorial behaviors and internal conflict patterns," one ancient report stated. "Recommendation: continued observation, potential for classification upgrade as technology develops." But strangely, 2 centuries, ergo all recommendations for threat level increases simply stopped. Around the same time, the Voth had taken over Earth's assessment portfolio entirely, unusual for a single species to maintain exclusive monitoring rights. June downloaded the files to his personal device and shut down his terminal just as the night shift began filtering in. He needed more information, and for that, he would need someone with first-hand knowledge of humans. 3 transit cycles later, June found himself in the quietest corner of the station's arboretum, a place where conversations could happen without electronic monitoring. The plants from 100 worlds created a riot of colors and scents, providing natural sound dampening. "I appreciate you meeting me, Dr. Han," June said quietly, as the xenoanthropologist settled onto the bench beside him. Dr. Han was older than June by several decades, her face lined with the wisdom that came from years studying developing civilizations. She'd spent more time observing Earth than perhaps anyone else in the Coalition. "Your message was intriguing," she replied, glancing around to ensure they were alone, "and somewhat concerning. You understand what you're risking?" June nodded, sliding a data chip across the bench. "I need your expertise. The Voth have maintained Earth's low-threat classification, despite evidence suggesting it should be much higher. Every attempt at reclassification has been blocked. Dr. Han inserted the chip into her reader, eyebrows rising as she scrolled through the information. I've suspected something like this. During my observation rotations, I noted how quickly humans adapt to challenges. They're remarkably resilient. Then why keep them classified as minimal concern? June asked. That's the question, Dr. Han murmured, still reading. In my reports, I've consistently noted their potential. They went from their first powered flight to landing on their moon in less than 70 years. No other species has made that leap so quickly. June leaned forward. I need to understand why the Voth are so interested in keeping humans under the radar. There's a diplomatic mission to Earth leaving in 3 days. First official contact. I want to be on it. Dr. Han's eyes met his, and June saw a spark of the same curiosity that drove him. As it happens, I've already been selected for the cultural exchange team. I could use an assistant. You'd do that? Dr. Han pocketed the data chip. You've made me curious, Analyst June. And in my experience, when the Voth try this hard to hide, something it's usually worth finding. She stood, straightening her formal robe. Be ready to depart in 3 days. And June, don't discuss this with anyone else, not if you want to live long enough to find your answers. As she walked away, June felt equal parts excitement and fear. He was about to risk everything to uncover a truth that had been hidden for centuries, a truth that might change humanity's place in the galaxy forever. The Coalition transport ship hummed softly as it prepared for departure. June stood in the observation deck, watching technicians scurry around the massive vessel like busy insects. His official credentials identified him as Research Assistant to Dr. Han's Xenoanthropology Division, a hastily arranged position that would hopefully withstand scrutiny. Nervous? Dr. Han appeared beside him, her field kit slung over one shoulder. The veteran researcher looked more alive than she had in the Arboretum, eyes bright with anticipation. Should I be? June asked, trying to keep his voice steady. Absolutely. She smiled, but there was no humor in it. We're potentially uncovering a conspiracy that's been maintained for centuries by one of the most powerful species in the Coalition. Through the viewport, June could see other members of the diplomatic mission boarding, representatives from 32 Coalition species, all carefully selected for this historic first contact. The Voth delegation was easy to spot, their tall, dignified forms moving with precision, scales gleaming under the hangar lights. Why would they care so much about one primitive planet? June wondered aloud. Dr. Han's voice dropped to a whisper. That's what we're going to find out, but we need to be careful. I've spent 23 years studying humans from orbit. The Voth have spent centuries hiding something about them. The ship's departure announcement echoed through the chamber, and crew members began guiding delegates to their quarters. As they followed the crowd, Dr. Han continued her briefing. Humans are contradictory creatures, she explained. They wage war against their own kind over invisible boundaries and ideological differences, yet they'll risk their lives to save complete strangers. They create beautiful art and music while simultaneously developing weapons that could destroy their entire civilization. Sounds unstable? June observed. That's exactly why they're so fascinating. Most species follow predictable evolutionary and social patterns. Humans consistently break those patterns. Their quarters were small but private, a necessity for their unsanctioned investigation. As soon as the door sealed, Dr. Han activated a signal dampener disguised as a standard atmospheric adjuster. Now we can talk freely, she said, pulling out her data tablet. I've been reviewing the files you downloaded. There's something odd about the timing of the Voth takeover of Earth's assessment. She displayed a timeline on the wall screen. See here? 300 years ago, humans were just beginning to harness electricity and develop early computing systems, nothing that should concern an advanced civilization. Yet that's exactly when the Voth stepped in, June noted. And look at this. Dr. Han pulled up another file, a heavily redacted report with the Voth High Council's seal. This was buried deep in the archive. It references something called the Awakening Protocol in relation to Earth. June studied the document. Most of it was blacked out, but one phrase caught his attention. Must not be allowed to realize their potential before containment measures. Containment measures, he read aloud. They're talking about humans like they're some kind of threat. Which contradicts their own classification system, Dr. Han agreed. The question is, what do they know that the rest of the coalition doesn't? Over the next 3 days of space travel, they delved deeper into Earth's files. Dr. Han shared her personal observations, video recordings of human cities, their rapid technological advancement, their resilience in the face of natural disasters. This footage is from their Indian Ocean tsunami, she explained, showing images of devastation followed by remarkable rebuilding efforts. Any other species would have taken decades to recover. Humans did it in years. And this, June pointed to another recording showing humans in white protective suits working in a quarantined area. A pandemic that could have wiped out millions. They developed vaccines in record time. Dr. Han's expression was serious. Their scientists accomplished, in months, what would take most coalition species years. The night before arrival, they received their diplomatic briefing. The Voth representative, senior diplomat Sung, addressed the gathered delegates with practiced smoothness. Remember, humans are a primitive but proud species. They believe themselves to be alone in the universe. Our appearance will be shocking to them. Remain calm, follow protocols, and trust the guidelines we've established for this interaction. Afterward, during the reception, June managed to position himself near a conversation between Sung and another Voth official. The containment assessment remains unchanged, the official asked quietly. Yes, Sung replied. The project remains secure. Earth's classification will not be adjusted. When the reception ended, June rushed back to their quarters to find Dr. Han already analyzing new data. Look at these, she said without preamble, showing comparative scans of Earth and another planet. These are geological surveys of Earth and the Voth homeworld. The similarity is statistically impossible. June stared at the overlapping patterns. What does it mean? I don't know yet, Dr. Han admitted, but I found something else. The Voth arrived in coalition space 15 million years ago, claiming their homeworld was destroyed in a cosmic event. They've never revealed where they originated. A chill ran down June's spine. You think they came from Earth? I think they're hiding something about Earth's past that connects to their own history, Dr. Han replied. And tomorrow we're going to set foot on the planet ourselves. As the ship began its approach to Earth the next morning, June stood at the viewport, watching the blue planet grow larger. It looked peaceful from space, swirls of white clouds over vibrant blue oceans and green-brown landmasses. Hard to believe this unassuming world had somehow earned the focused attention of the ancient Voth. Beautiful, isn't it? Dr. Han joined him, her voice soft with wonder, despite having seen this view many times through telescope feeds. It doesn't look dangerous, June observed. The most dangerous things rarely do. She placed a hand on his shoulder. Remember our cover story, you're my assistant interested in human cultural development. Nothing more. And if we find something? Dr. Han's eyes reflected the blue glow of Earth below. Then we may be uncovering a secret that's been buried for millions of years. Are you ready for that? June nodded slowly, feeling the weight of their mission settle on him. I need to know the truth. Good, she replied, because I suspect the truth about Earth is more shocking than either of us can imagine. The Geneva International Convention Center buzzed with activity as the coalition delegation prepared to meet humanity's representatives. Security personnel in crisp blue uniforms lined the corridors while diplomats from every major Earth nation gathered in the main hall, their faces a mixture of excitement and apprehension. June adjusted his translator pin, feeling oddly exposed, in human clothes. The coalition's preparation team had done extensive work to make the delegates appear less alien, subtle cosmetic adjustments and clothing designed to ease the psychological impact of first contact. Even so, there was no hiding the fundamental differences between species. Remember to maintain composure, Dr. Han murmured beside him. Humans are emotional creatures. They'll be watching our reactions closely. The delegation entered the hall, to audible gasps from the assembled humans. Despite months of preparation through indirect communications, the reality of alien life standing before them struck the Earth representatives with visible force. Some paled, others stared with undisguised wonder, and a few discreetly wiped away tears. A tall human woman stepped forward from the Earth delegation. "On behalf of the people of Earth, I welcome you to our world," she said, her voice steady despite the historical weight of the moment. Senior diplomat Sung led the coalition response, his Voth features carefully schooled into what humans would perceive as a friendly expression. "We come in peace, seeking friendship and exchange of knowledge between our civilizations." The formal introductions proceeded smoothly, but June noticed something curious. While other delegates seemed genuinely interested in the humans, the Voth representatives maintained a subtle distance, their movements precise and calculated. During the reception that followed, June and Dr. Han implemented their plan, while other aliens clustered together. They mingled freely with the humans, accepting offers of Earth food and drink, showing interest in human customs. "You seem different from the others," said a human scientist who introduced himself as Professor Park, less reserved. "Dr. Han has studied your species for many years," June explained, sticking to their cover story. "We're fascinated by human culture. And we have so many questions," Dr. Han added warmly. "Your species has achieved remarkable progress in a short time." Professor Park beamed with pride. "Would you be interested in visiting our university? We could arrange a tour of our research facilities." Dr. Han exchanged a quick glance with June. This was exactly the opportunity they needed. "We would be honored." Over the next few days, while formal diplomatic negotiations continued, June and Dr. Han expanded their investigation. Their status as cultural researchers gave them freedom to explore that other delegates didn't have. They visited universities, military installations, cultural centers, and ordinary neighborhoods, all under the guise of anthropological research. At a naval base, they observed human military technology firsthand. Their guide, Lieutenant Tay, showed them a submarine with evident pride. "This vessel can remain submerged for months," he explained. "Complete self-sufficiency." "Impressive adaptation to an environment not natural to your species," Dr. Han noted. "How long did it take to develop this technology?" "From our first primitive submersibles to this, less than a century." June tried to hide his surprise. Coalition species typically took 3 to 4 times longer to achieve similar developments. Later, at Seoul National University, Professor Park introduced them to the genetics laboratory. "We're on the verge of several breakthroughs," he explained, showing them gene sequencing equipment. "This technology didn't even exist 20 years ago. Your rate of advancement is remarkable," Dr. Han commented. "What drives humans to innovate so quickly?" Professor Park considered the question. "Necessity, I suppose. Competition, curiosity." He smiled. "And impatience. Humans hate waiting for solutions." That evening, they attended a concert, an experience that affected June deeply. The emotional resonance of human music transcended species barriers, stirring feelings he couldn't quite name. "They channel so much through their art," he told Dr. Han as they returned to their temporary quarters. "It's unlike anything in the Coalition archives." "Their creativity is unparalleled," she agreed. "But have you noticed something else?" The Voth delegates refused to attend any events featuring human creativity, music, art, literature. They're only present at scientific and political functions. June nodded slowly. "And they avoided the Natural History Museum entirely." "Particularly the dinosaur exhibit," Dr. Han added meaningfully. "I wanted to see their reaction to those fossils, but they wouldn't go near the building." Their investigation took on new urgency the next day when they joined a geology conference, where human scientists presented theories about Earth's prehistoric mass extinctions. "The evidence suggests a massive asteroid impact approximately 65 million years ago," the presenter explained, pointing to charts showing the Chicxulub crater. "This event wiped out the dinosaurs who had dominated Earth for over 165 million years, allowing mammals, our distant ancestors, to rise and eventually evolve into humans." From their position at the back of the room, June and Dr. Han watched the 3 Voth representatives in attendance. Their normally impassive faces showed subtle signs of discomfort, scaled skin flushing slightly, eyes narrowing. "They're reacting to this information," June whispered. "Look at their posture, it's defensive." Later that night, back in their quarters with security measures in place, Dr. Han pulled up the geological comparisons again. These patterns between Earth and the supposed Voth homeworld, I've been analyzing them further. They're not just similar, they're identical in ways that can't be coincidental. What are you saying? June asked, though he was beginning to suspect the answer. I think the Voth didn't just visit Earth in the past, Dr. Han said quietly. I think they evolved here. The next morning, they accompanied a different human group to a top-secret research facility where scientists were developing new propulsion systems. The Voth representatives had declined this visit as well, claiming diplomatic responsibilities elsewhere. As they toured the facility, June noticed a pattern in the questions their guide couldn't answer, all related to theoretical physics problems humans were still trying to solve, problems the Coalition had mastered centuries ago. They're so close to several major breakthroughs, he told Dr. Han as they walked through the complex. At their current rate of progress, they could achieve interstellar travel within a century, she finished, far faster than any species we've encountered. That night, June took an enormous risk. Using specialized equipment hidden in his personal effects, he bypassed the security systems in the Voth delegation's communication center. What he found confirmed their suspicions: encrypted transmissions to the Voth homeworld filled with references to containment protocols and something called the Sleeping Giants. He was copying the final files when an alert sounded. Someone was coming. June quickly disconnected his device and slipped into an adjacent corridor, heart pounding. Through the partly open door, he saw senior diplomat Sung enter with another Voth official. The humans are advancing too quickly, the official was saying. Their space programs are already targeting Mars colonization. The situation is contained, Sung replied calmly. The low-threat classification ensures no Coalition species will share advanced technology with them. We have time. And if they make the connection, if they realize what happened here, they won't, Sung said firmly. The evidence is buried too deep and we've maintained the narrative for millions of years. Earth will remain classified as low threat, regardless of their advancement. It's the only way to ensure galactic safety. June slipped away, his mind racing with questions. What connection? What narrative? What had happened on Earth that the Voth were so determined to hide? He had to find Dr. Han. They needed answers, and they needed them now. You did what? Dr. Han's voice was barely above a whisper, but the intensity made June step back. They stood in the small garden behind their temporary quarters, the only place they could be reasonably sure wasn't monitored. A light rain fell, providing additional cover for their conversation. I had to know what they were hiding, June replied, water droplets gathering on his face. You should have heard them, Dr. Han. They're deliberately keeping Earth's classification low regardless of human advancement. Dr. Han paced the narrow garden path, hands clasped behind her back. This is bigger than we thought. If the Voth are manipulating threat assessments against Coalition protocols, that's a violation of the founding treaty. It's more than that, June insisted. They mentioned galactic safety, depending on humans not making some kind of connection. Something about evidence being buried too deep. A twig snapped nearby and both of them froze. After a moment of tense silence, a small earth animal, a cat, emerged from the bushes, regarded them with indifference and continued on its way. We need to speak with Sung directly, Dr. Han decided. Confront him with what we know. That's too dangerous, June protested. If the Voth discover we're investigating them, they already know. Dr. Han's expression was grim. I've noticed their security personnel watching us since the geology conference. We're running out of time. Later that evening, during a formal dinner with Earth's scientific community, they put their plan into action. While the other delegates engaged in diplomatic small talk, Dr. Han casually maneuvered herself and June into position near Senior Diplomat Sung as he stood alone by a window, observing the city lights of Geneva. Beautiful view, Dr. Han commented, sidling up beside him. Earth's cities have a unique glow at night. Sung turned, his reptilian features arranged in the diplomatic mask he always wore around humans. Dr. Han, Analyst June, are you enjoying your cultural exchanges? Immensely, June replied, particularly the visit to the Natural History Museum yesterday. The dinosaur exhibit was fascinating. A subtle tension appeared in Sung's posture. I'm pleased you found it educational. We did, Dr. Han continued smoothly, especially the section on the extinction event. Remarkable how one catastrophe could end the dominance of an entire group of species that bore certain anatomical similarities to the Voth. Sung's eyes narrowed fractionally. If you have something to say, Doctor, perhaps we should discuss it somewhere more private. 10 minutes later, they were seated in Sung's private quarters within the Voth diplomatic compound. 2 security officers stood outside the door, and Joan felt distinctly trapped. You've been investigating matters beyond your clearance, Sung began without preamble, accessing restricted files, monitoring private communications. These are serious violations. Not as serious as falsifying threat assessments for an entire planet, Dr. Han countered. The Coalition Charter requires objective classification based on technological capabilities. Earth should have been upgraded to mid-threat status decades ago. Sung's composure wavered just slightly. You don't understand the complexities involved. Then explain them, June demanded. What are the Voth hiding about Earth? Why maintain their low-threat status when they're clearly advancing rapidly? The room fell silent as Sung studied them both. Finally, he sighed, a surprisingly human gesture from the reptilian diplomat. You're both well regarded in your fields, he said quietly. Dedicated to knowledge and truth. Perhaps it's time someone knew. He activated a privacy field around the room, cutting off all external monitoring. What I'm about to tell you violates oaths I took when I joined the diplomatic service. He moved to a secured cabinet and withdrew an ancient-looking data crystal. This contains information known only to the highest levels of Voth leadership. Information about our true origins. You evolved on Earth, Dr. Han stated flatly. Sung looked genuinely surprised. You deduced that much? The geological comparison was too perfect to be coincidence, she explained, and your species' reluctance to engage with certain aspects of Earth culture, particularly anything related to dinosaurs, was telling. Yes, Sung acknowledged. The Voth evolved from a species of dinosaur called Troodon, highly intelligent with opposable digits. While the great lizards dominated Earth's surface, our ancestors developed tool use, complex societies, and eventually technology. That's impossible, June objected. Earth shows no evidence of an advanced civilization from that era. Because we erased it, Sung replied simply. When we detected the asteroid that would cause the mass extinction, our ancestors had already achieved spaceflight. They evacuated millions off-world, leaving behind a dead-end branch of dinosaurs to face. Extinction? We couldn't save them all. Dr. Han looked stunned. You abandoned your planet. We had no choice. Sung's voice held ancient sorrow. And we've carried that guilt for 65 million years, but that's not why Earth is classified as low threat. Inserted the crystal into his personal console, and a holographic display appeared between them. Ancient images of Earth from space, followed by data streams too complex for June to decipher. Before leaving, our ancestors conducted experiments, Sung continued. They wanted to ensure that if they couldn't return, something of their legacy would continue on Earth. They genetically modified several small mammal species, enhancing their potential for intelligence and adaptability. The ancestors of humans, Dr. Han breathed. Yes, Sung nodded. But the experiment had unexpected results. The mammals displayed extraordinary survival capabilities. When our scout ships returned millions of years later to check on Earth's recovery, these enhanced mammals had not only survived but thrived in ways our scientists hadn't predicted. I don't understand, June said. If your species was advanced enough for spaceflight 65 million years ago, why would you consider humans a threat? Your technology must be unimaginably superior. Sung's expression darkened. Because we've seen what happens when Earth species are threatened. The mammals our ancestors modified didn't just survive, they outcompeted everything in their path. Their adaptability, aggression, and problem-solving abilities were unlike anything we'd seen on any world. He changed the display to show simulations of conflicts between advanced civilizations and human forces. In every scenario, despite initial defeats, the humans adapted, counterattacked, and eventually prevailed. Earth isn't classified as low. Threat because humans are harmless, Sung explained. It's classified that way to ensure no species in the coalition provokes them into their full potential. The Voth learned through bitter experience that species evolving on Earth develop unique survival traits. A sharp alarm cut through the room, and the privacy field collapsed. The door slid open as 4 Voth security officers burst in, weapons drawn. Senior Diplomat Sung, the lead officer, announced formally, "You are charged with sharing classified information with unauthorized personnel. These 2 are to be detained for questioning regarding espionage against Voth security interests." As guards moved to restrain them, Sung quietly pressed the data crystal into Jun's hand. "Find Professor Park," he whispered urgently. "Show him what's on this crystal. The truth must be known." The guards separated them, leading Sung in one direction, while Jun and Dr. Han were escorted toward the detention area. As they passed through a service corridor, Dr. Han suddenly stumbled against a guard, creating a momentary distraction. In the confusion, Jun spotted an emergency exit. "Run!" Dr. Han shouted, shoving him toward the door. "Get that crystal to the humans!" Jun hesitated only a second before diving through the exit. Alarms blared as he sprinted into the rainy Geneva night, the ancient data crystal clutched in his hand, and the truth about Earth's shocking classification burning in his mind. Behind him, he heard Dr. Han's voice one last time before the door sealed. "Find the truth, all of it!" Rain pounded against the windows of the abandoned warehouse on the outskirts of Seoul. Professor Park paced nervously between stacks of old crates, while 2 of his graduate students huddled over a makeshift computer setup, trying to access the Halion data crystal. "Anything?" the professor asked, checking the exits again. "The encryption is like nothing I've ever seen," the young woman replied, fingers flying across the keyboard. "But I think... Wait. I'm getting something." Jun watched from the shadows, still struggling to process everything that had happened. In the 72 hours since his escape from the Voth compound, the Coalition had issued a galaxy-wide alert for his capture. Dr. Han had been detained, and now Earth's authorities were searching for him too, after the Voth claimed he had stolen sensitive diplomatic information. Only Professor Park had believed his desperate story, offering shelter and assistance when Jun had nowhere else to turn. "I've got it," the student exclaimed, as the screens suddenly filled with data, star charts, genetic sequences, and ancient images of Earth from space. Professor Park adjusted his glasses, staring at the information in awe. "This is beyond anything we've imagined. If these files are authentic—" "They are," Jun confirmed, stepping forward. "This is the truth the Voth have hidden for 65 million years." For the next several hours, they pored over the contents of the crystal. The complete Voth archives revealed a story so incredible that even Jun, who had suspected parts of it, felt stunned by the full picture. "They didn't just visit Earth," Professor Park whispered as the truth became clear. "They evolved here. They were dinosaurs who achieved spacefaring civilization before the asteroid impact. Advanced enough to detect the asteroid coming and escape," Jun added, "but not advanced enough to stop it." The files showed massive evacuation ships leaving Earth, carrying millions of evolved dinosaurs to a new home across the galaxy. The Voth had erased most evidence of their civilization before departing, a standard protocol to prevent technological contamination of any species that might evolve later. But that's not all they did, Jun continued, pointing to genetic data, scrolling across one screen. Before leaving, they conducted experiments on small mammals, the ancestors of primates. They enhanced certain genetic sequences related to intelligence, adaptability, and problem-solving. "They created us?" Professor Park looked horrified. "Not exactly. They accelerated what was already there." Jun brought up another file, a research study conducted secretly by Voth scientists millions of years after they left Earth. When their scout ships returned to check on Earth's recovery, they found something unexpected. The mammals they'd modified hadn't just survived. They were evolving faster than any species they'd encountered on hundreds of worlds. The graduate students exchanged nervous glances as Professor Park translated more of the alien text. According to this, they attempted to establish a research base during what would have been Earth's early Cenozoic era. The base was destroyed, June nodded grimly. The Voth discovered something that would shape their policy toward Earth for millions of years to come. Despite their technological superiority, they couldn't establish dominance over Earth's evolving species. The mammals they'd enhanced displayed unexpected traits, extreme adaptability, remarkable resource utilization, and most concerning to the Voth, unprecedented aggression when threatened. But that still doesn't explain why they classify us as low threat when clearly we're advancing rapidly, Professor Park objected. That's where it gets interesting, June replied, bringing up the final set of files, military simulations run by Voth strategists over thousands of years. Look at these projections. The screens displayed scenario after scenario of potential conflicts between spacefaring humans and various coalition species. In every simulation, despite initial setbacks due to technological disadvantages, humans eventually prevailed. It's our adaptability, one of the students realized, eyes wide. These simulations show humans learning from defeats, modifying alien technology, and developing counter-strategies at rates 10 times faster than other species. Exactly, June confirmed. The Voth learned something profound about Earth. It's not just one world harboring one potentially threatening species. It's an evolutionary forge that creates species with unparalleled survival instincts. He brought up the most classified file, the actual reasoning behind Earth's deliberately maintained low-threat status. The Voth High Council made a decision millions of years ago. Earth would be classified as minimal concern, not because humans are harmless, but to prevent any coalition species from engaging with humans in ways that might accelerate their development, or worse, provoke conflict. Professor Park slowly sank into a chair, the weight of this revelation evident on his face. They're afraid of us. With good reason, June said quietly. According to their simulations, if humans were ever faced with a genuine threat from beyond their world, they would adapt and ultimately overcome it, regardless of the technological gap. And in doing so, they would advance far more rapidly than through peaceful development. So they keep us isolated, the female student concluded, classified as primitive and unimportant, to ensure no one shares technology with us or challenges us. A primitive species doesn't grow stronger by fighting a more advanced one, June explained. But humans do. The Voth discovered this through bitter experience. A noise outside made everyone freeze. Lights swept across the warehouse windows, coalition search vehicles. "They found us," Professor Park whispered. June made a quick decision. Download everything from the crystal to your Earth computers, then broadcast it to every news outlet, university, and government. That would change everything, Professor Park warned. Human society might not be ready to learn not only that we're not alone in the universe, but that we're considered the most potentially dangerous species in it. It's the truth, June replied simply. Humanity deserves to know. As coalition forces surrounded the warehouse, the graduate students worked frantically to download and distribute the files. Professor Park turned to June with one final question. If everything in these files is true, what happens now? What happens when the galaxy learns that the Voth have been manipulating coalition policy for millions of years? What happens when humans learn what we really are? June looked at the images of Earth on the screen, a beautiful blue planet that had already produced 2 spacefaring civilizations separated by 65 million years. Everything changes, he said quietly. The Voth will face consequences for violating coalition law, but more importantly, humanity will understand its true place in the galaxy, not as a primitive species to be pitied or ignored, but as inheritors of Earth's remarkable evolutionary legacy, a legacy the rest of the galaxy has feared for millions of years. The doors of the warehouse burst open as coalition security forces flooded in, but it was too late. On screens across Earth, the truth was already beginning to spread. The shocking reason why Earth had been classified as low threat for centuries, and the incredible potential that classification had been designed to contain. As June was taken into custody, he caught a final glimpse of the humans' faces, filled with wonder and determination as they processed their new reality. He knew then that the galaxy would never be the same. Earth's isolation was over, and humanity was about to claim its rightful place among the stars. Retry Claude can make mistakes. Please double-check responses.